All right, family, it's your brother Asad,
And I'm Adrian.
and we are back again with another quick video. But make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the notifications bell so that you'll be notified when we drop new content on this channel. Secondly, in terms of housekeeping, we have to thank our South African family for all of the love and support you guys have shown this channel. We really appreciate it. You guys have really warmed our hearts and made us feel so welcome as we make this transition from the United States to South Africa. Right now, I know you're wondering who is this little boy in between us doing all this moving, and he got me sitting funny with my shoulder. I can't even get right. Well, who are you, man?
I'm Aden.
Hey,
And
Aden.
I'm 9 years old.
Well, ain't nobody asked you how old you are. And why are you sitting here? Well, why are you sitting here? What's up? What did you want to say?
I wanted to be in the video.
Oh,
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
so you could be famous, be YouTube famous. So let me ask you this. Now, you said you wanted to be in the video. You know this channel is dedicated to our move to South Africa. So what, young man, do you think about our move to South Africa?
I think it will be cool and good. I think it will be very good with the new people and friends and cake on food. And I like the malls.
Why are you talking
You're
like
you're robot. And I like the malls and
like you having trouble reading your own thoughts?
No, that's not it. That's not it.
well, what is it?
Well, what is it, man? Talk to us.
I think that it will be very cool moving to South Africa. And
Take your time. It's just a lot of people watching
They
you.
got all the time in the world.
you can cut the video.
No. Take 5.
And it will be very cool moving to South Africa with all the new people in a nice environment so that I don't end up.
So I need you to speak like, because I don't want these people to think that you're slow. I don't. It was funny.
You're reading.
Yeah, it was funny at first, but
Cool,
they're gonna be like, man, Asad, son, he in special ed. Nothing wrong with special ed.
No, they don't say you gave him a script. It will be.
Made him, I'm forcing him to read. There's somebody standing over here with a belt. There's somebody standing over here with a belt making him read. He reading a cue card. I'm telling him, nah. But yeah, go ahead and speak regular.
Yeah.
What you doing with your eyes?
The thing I know.
Turn cameras on children. That's what happens.
That will turn you up. And he's sleepy too. It's 10:30. Yes, indeed.
I'm sleepy, so I know you.
So is that all you have for the people, young man?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, is there anything? Well, let me ask you this. Don't put on the table. Is there when we talk about the move to South Africa, give me one positive and one negative, then you can go.
Mm-hmm.
Give me one positive and one negative.
The negative is I have to get the negative out.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
So the negative is I won't be able to go to summer camp. I mean, I will, but you know,
Yeah, like
probably
your summer
not
camp
the
here.
full, not the full summer camp.
Mm.
Only like 1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah, because you're going to be there. All right, what's the positive?
The positive is that I get to be in a better place
Mm.
You
The
sure?
what?
Well, that's true.
Yes, I'm very sure.
Okay.
I'm sure too.
Yeah. All right. After this awkward moment. All right, baby boy. Like he climbing
Be
onto the
careful
table.
now,
Okay,
careful.
let us. So that was Aden. He is a very unique child, and I don't know why he was talking like he
A
was
robot.
a robot. Yeah. But anyway, that's what 9-year-olds do,
Right.
right?
Right.
So let's talk about the reaction to the mental health dialogue that we had with Mpile
Yes.
and Dr. Turner,
Mm-hmm.
right? It was absolutely phenomenal. And parts 3 and 4 coming soon, but we wanted to drop this little video
Yeah.
to kind of have a little reaction to some of the stuff that we saw. What did you think about when they were talking about the effects of apartheid, Jim Crow
Mm.
on like our mental health, like group mental health, if you can?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad that someone asked the question, and then
Hmm.
she was able. Dr. Mpile was able. Oh, she did correct us. She's like,
Yeah.
"I'm not a doctor. I'm sorry,"
Hmm.
but she did sort of make that link, and I thought it was really cool that we have a similar background and some of the same things that the groups are dealing with. What did you think?
Yeah, I think that that the type of trauma that takes place when you're dealing with racialized trauma
Mm-hmm.
from the form of a government or a system of government has deep psychological effects when we talk about
Yeah.
self-esteem, when we talk about self-image,
Mm.
right? Even when we talk about imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah.
I think Sister Mpile mentioned, we're constantly trying to prove that we are equal, or we have these feelings that we are inferior,
Mm-hmm.
right? Some
Mm-hmm.
some of us have these inferiority complexes, and
Right.
then we're trying to prove, right, that we belong in these spaces, right?
Mm-hmm.
Constantly trying to prove ourselves. And this is a very this is one of the symptoms of this post-traumatic slave syndrome, this post-traumatic Jim Crow syndrome, this
Yeah.
post-traumatic apartheid
Mm-hmm.
syndrome, is that we are now suffering with um, uh, feelings of inadequacy,
Mm.
many of us. And it takes a lot of self work and inventory and investigation and interrogation of self to come to a place where we can learn to what? What did Farad Muhammad leave us with? To accept yourself, what to be yourself
And accept your own.
and accept your own.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So
Definitely.
and I thought that was very important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think also one of the things we discussed in the dialogue was, and I think this is later on, but also establishing a relationship between like Xavier, because Dr. Turner is a professor at Xavier,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and maybe a South African
University.
university,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's important because, and particularly when we're talking about psychology, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For see, there's a great book by Waters, Watters, and the book is called Crazy Like Us.
Hmm.
And it talks about how culture can influence the symptomatology of, or the symptom pool
Yeah.
of certain mental health illnesses. So, like, for instance, in China, this is kind of off the subject, but I'll bring it back. In
Right.
China, early on, anorexia did not look the same way as
Mm.
anorexia looked in the United States or in Europe,
Yeah.
right? However, when Western media began to influence China, the symptomatology, the presentation of symptoms of anorexia changed in China to
Hmm.
mirror and match that of the West. It's very important,
Hmm.
right? So when we talk about having this connection, building these bridges and closing the gaps between psychology students in South Africa and psychology students at Xavier University, historically Black college and university, I wonder how can we identify some cultural similarities in the symptom presentation
Yeah.
and where they may vary, where there may be variance and difference.
Hmm.
So I think that's,
I would love to see that happen.
yeah, I would definitely love to
Yeah.
see that happen. I think that would be a very interesting find. And finally, we talked about, you know, when are Black mental health professionals going to come together, both on the continent and in the United States, to begin to define our own diagnoses? We are trying to fit ourselves. Again, culture plays a role
Right.
in the way mental health is presented and displayed, and presented. Right? Did I say presented?
Yeah.
All right. The way the presentation of your mental health illnesses. Right?
Yeah.
We know that there's a certain symptom pool that our minds subconsciously have to pull from when we're trying to red flag the fact that something is wrong.
Yeah.
Right? But we're constantly trying to fit ourselves into the diagnoses created by the people who probably made us sick. Samuel Cartwright and Drapetomania was.
I didn't realize they used the DSM-5, and I don't know why I thought that was just.
No, I think the DSM-5
it's universal.
is because many countries that have accepted the Western conceptualization of the mind. See, this is deep. This stuff gets deep. The Western conceptualization of the mind. Now, there is different concepts of the mind, right?
Yeah.
In Asia, China, Japan, ideas and thoughts about how the mind works, what the mind. Keep in mind, a lot of our definitions of the brain versus the mind comes from like Freudian theory and Carl Jung and all of these people, right? These are Western philosophers and psychoanalysts who came up with these ideas for a Western European culture. That does not necessarily mean that's bespoke for us, that it fits Black people, that it fits Asians and East Asians or Indians or Latino brothers and sisters in Central and South America.
Right.
But somehow we, as Black Americans and Black South Africans, since they have adopted the usage of Western philosophy, Western psychology, now we have to fit ourselves into diagnoses and symptom pools created or that was bespoke for European culture, right?
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Very interesting. For instance, like in Native American culture, communing and hearing the voice of a deceased ancestor is normal, considered normal. So part of like the diagnosis in the DSM-5, and I'm not saying it word for word, but does it cause distress? And is it abnormal in kind of your cultural context, right? So since hearing the voice of a ancestor is not abnormal in the cultural context of some of these Native American groups, then it's not a symptom of what we would say is schizophrenia or hallucination, right? Given that everything else, given that they're fine with everything else, you know.
Right.
So
I mean, that's really interesting. If you're
Yeah.
asking people to define then their own symptom pool. That's what you're saying. Then how do you do that if this is sort of the construct you're brought up in? I mean, where do you pull something outside of a Western construct if you exist fully within a Western
for Black
construct?
Americans, you mean?
Yeah. I mean,
Well, for Black Americans, yeah, for Black Americans, it's going to be rough because we have this hybrid psychological presentation. You know, W.E.B. Du Bois defined it in The Soul of Black Folk as a double consciousness.
Yeah.
Right, and he also mentioned that this double consciousness is at war with each other. Right, Baldwin says to be, and paraphrasing, to be Black and to be conscious is to be in a state of rage, constant rage. Right, to be Black and somewhat conscious is to be in a state of constant rage. So we have this warring faction in the Du Boisian warring faction taking place within our psyche. Are we African? It's not so much are we African. It is that we are a people who have been victimized by a group by a system, by a government, right?
Right.
And then we now have lived within this system, begin to, in many ways, benefit from this system. I think Dr. Turner mentioned Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah,
It's a little deeper than that, because we also recognize that the more we contribute to the system, the more we live in the system, the more we are limiting ourselves, the more we are re-victimizing ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. So and that creates this war. This how do I escape this paradigm when it's the only paradigm I have known, when every other paradigm has been erased? And that's why it's important that we build bridges and close the gaps with our brothers and sisters on the continent. Right?
They have something to offer in terms of still having a non-Western connection.
They have another paradigm. They have an alternative paradigm. No, they have a native paradigm, and the West becomes the alternative paradigm, right? So that they're able to, that's why they can say we can go to spiritualists.
Right.
We can talk about is he bewitched? Is it a witchcraft and stuff that may seem in our Western mind, because keep in mind, Freud was an atheist, so he ain't believe in no spirits or nothing like that, right? So that's problematic for people, for Black people who are a spiritual people, no matter whether we are from the Abrahamic faith or whether we are from like traditional African faith, right? We are a spiritual people. As CeeLo would say, we are a spiritual people, God's chosen few. Think about the slave trade when they had thousands of us on board and we were still praising the Lord. So, yeah. All right. If you made it this far,
man,
you're a soldier. You are a soldier. But we want to talk about one more thing before we go. And that is our March trip is tickets already bought.
Yeah.
Already set in stone, March 11th. And guess what? We bringing some people with us. Yes, we are.
Yep.
Yes, we are bringing some people with us, right? And I had an interesting conversation with a judge today. So as some of you guys know, I work in criminal court. I work in the jails. I work for an organization doing criminal justice reform. I wash cars, I cut grass. Somebody said, I'm gonna leave that alone. Somebody said, I'm a good man. I wash cars, cut grass, got 2 jobs, and I sell a little weed on the side.
The conversation with the judge.
I had a conversation with a judge today. I was in chambers. And we had a great conversation about South Africa. And she mentioned that her dad used to travel to South Africa before he passed, and it was his goal in life to relocate. And I said, you know what, Your Honor, that I'm sorry to hear that about your father, but that's why I must go now, because our plan was, when we're 50 or when we're 55 and we retire, but continue to put it off, you may not be here at 55 to go, right? You may have done all of this planning and die before you were able to go. And so she said she's sitting judge. She said, I'm going either to Ghana or South Africa or Rwanda. She was like, my bones, listen. She said she could help it. Her bones will not be buried here. And that was profound to hear. And again, I think what we have to recognize is I'm not talking to y'all know what I was about to say? I'm not talking to everyday people, right? The great philosophical musician Sly Stone talked about everyday people. Well, a sitting judge is not everyday people.
Yeah.
I mean, she is everyday people in terms of her personality, but in terms of her position, she's not everyday people. And you would identify and recognize and categorize and catalog her as someone who is successful, right? And still yet this successful Black woman sitting judge is saying, America's too much for me. I gotta go. Think about it. My South African family, Think about it. The sitting judge is saying that America is too much for her. She has to go. Oh, we had a good conversation.
Yeah.
We had a good conversation. So we bringing some folks with us, right? Unfortunately, the judge will not be able to come, but in March, but she is coming, right? And she has already been to Ghana a few times or whatever have you. So she has already made her decision. I spoke with another sitting judge who happens to be my frat brother. And he said, man, you got to get me the information. He is like, my docket, meaning the cases that he has to handle, might be heavy in March. Give me the information and I'm going to try to come. But we got other people coming. We got
I want to make it out.
people. Well, he talked about it. He said, man, listen, I'm a sitting judge. He was like, I don't necessarily want to give up this position. Yeah. He was like, but there's so many other things that I can do. Right? He was like, your last trip and stuff we posted on Facebook. He was like, your last trip, man. He's like, y'all look like y'all were living the good life. And I'm like, brother.
Felt like we were living good.
Thank you.
God.
You need to go to South Africa. He started telling me about when he went to Panama. I said, I don't know nothing about no Panama, man. Panama ain't got nothing on Josie. Panama ain't got nothing on Cape Town, man. Don't tell me nothing about no Panama. I like Panama. I'm not, disrespecting Panama. But we can't get to comparing apples and oranges. Oranges, that's New Orleans for oranges. Oranges, you can't get to comparing apples and oranges. No, you can't do that. But anyway,
once they catch that bug, though, they'll be back.
That's it.
They'll be back.
Once you go one time, matter of fact, okay, so one of the people who is coming with us in March came with us in February of 2021. And she said, I couldn't make it back in June. I couldn't make it back because she ended up buying a house and all kind of stuff. She said, I couldn't make it back in June. I couldn't make it back in December. But I'm coming with y'all in March. And she bought her tickets.
Sure did.
And she brought her brother's tickets. Watch out. Hey, we coming.
It's going down.
We coming. South Africa. We coming. Because we love y'all and we appreciate the love that you guys have shown us and opening your doors and all of the welcoming comments that we get. Again, we greatly appreciate it. So this has been a 23-minute long video. And we just going to say our appreciation. And anything else you want to add?
Thanks for tuning in.
All right then. Peace, family.
Bye.